the head of MSNBC. He said, I was just in Washington, and people in Washington tell me that they're concerned about your tone.
If I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, you are pleasuring the animal.
Dude, what the bro? Like, who would even say that? It's like not even funny. We should preface this, okay, about Cenk and MSNBC, because it feels like this was in his big blow up, okay? Like Cenk, we gotta hand it to him, all right, when he got mad at George W. Bush and he felt upset about the WMD lies, and he felt like turned on by his Republican Party, and he was upset because of his incel blogs, because none of the women in South Beach would fuck him, because he was just a smarmy little man. So he got bummed out, but he had a little vision, okay? Cenk Uygur had some vision. He got on YouTube and he became the first partner. And he like blew up in the early days of YouTube with the Young Turks and the celebrity camel toes and saying the N-word and all this racy kind of crazy shit. But he blew up. And then, believe it or not, he became somewhat of a political clouded guy, okay? And then he worked for MSNBC. He was like moving into the mainstream, which, let's be honest, I think he wanted to be in the mainstream. You heard Sam Seder talk about how he wanted to be in airports. I think Cenk Uygur had mainstream ambitions. I know I have them. I would love to have a show like The Daily Show or Bill Maher's show. I would love to have my own fucking show like that. I don't even care if it has like a lot of viewership. I would just love to be in a studio, to be at 30 Rock, New York, Rockefeller. Like, let's go, dude. That'd be amazing. Now, okay, so he got on MSNBC, but they didn't advance him. He never got a primetime slot. They gave it to Al Sharpton. They gave it to a black guy, which we know couldn't have sat well with Cenk Uygur, because I don't care what he says. I know that they don't like people of color. But, dude, Cenk he's a fucking con artist is what he is, right? That's why he kind of idolizes Trump. But what I was going to say about this, about Cenk, the thing that, like, sort of hits me in the core, my major problem with him, that to me loosens the foundation of his entire message, because his entire message, guys, is he's a populist and money out of politics, right? Those are his two major things. He's a cross-party lines populist and get money, big money out of politics. But this guy has been a corporate whore, big money like getter for his network since nearly the goddamn beginning, starting with Katzenberg and Hillary Clinton's people who were like paying him money shortly after he was a diehard Bernie guy, and then culminating in him selling off his fucking naming rights to a studio his fan base built for him, to J.D. Vance's crew, to the Polymarket guys. So this guy does nothing but sniff out corporate money while simultaneously denigrating corporate money in politics. And to me, dude, that's bullshit. Like, you don't get it both ways. You don't get to have your whole identity be about get corporate money out of politics while you're fucking cashing checks from fucking corporate money. You know? I mean, come on, dude. That's like those anti-gay dudes that are at the motel banging their bros all day long. Like, come on, man. Pick a lane, motherfucker. Right?
MSNBC stories. My executive producer would say to me all the time when I criticize Democrats, Cenk, remember who the home team is. Okay, that's not that complicated, right? So, it was obvious what he was referring to. Okay, and you guys have heard me tell the story before about how they said, we're insiders and you got to act like it. Washington's not happy with your tone, right? There's longer versions of that story if you want in the member section. But the story that some of you might not have heard is when I was covering Obama's press conference on the Egyptian revolution, I wanted to criticize him because he said that we were really in favor of our wonderful ally Hosni Mubarak, and he was really encouraged by the revolution against Hosni Mubarak. Okay, it was classic Obama talking out of both sides of his mouth. You can go back and watch that press conference, it's hilarious, okay? So I was gonna say that on air, and I did say it on air. And I got my producer in my ear saying, don't say it, right? And then afterwards, we have the extra comical part where they say, well, Cenk, no, the reason we told you not to criticize him is because it's disrespectful of the president to criticize him right after a press conference. I'm like, you know we're in the news business, right? And then so now, since I'm who I am, and this is what causes me trouble, I said, okay, this is a fun game. So how long do I have to wait before criticizing him? And I said, is it an hour? Is it a day? Is it 2 days? And then we went back and forth having this hilarious conversation until they landed on a week. In other words, until it's completely and utterly out of the news, and then they'll say, Cenk, what do you bring back that old news for, right?
Dude, he is a fucking loser. You know what I couldn't help but think? The whole time, first off, it's not even an engaging story. Oh, how long before I wait? A week? Oh, you're quite the scamp. An hour, 2 hours, a day? Oh, look at you, you rebellious scamp, you, Cenky. Oh, Cenky, oh, look at me, I'm a rebel, right? But you know what I couldn't help but thinking the whole time through that incredibly boring fucking story, right? That shit was like boring as shit. First off, I was waiting for the punchline, but the whole time I couldn't help but thinking like about Franny, right? I couldn't help thinking about him making that video saying, you know, Franny was like saying bad things, and she was saying things that were inappropriate for her to be saying on the network, so now we have to cut all ties with her, right? And I'm like, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird that this guy who's like so resentful of MSNBC, he's been nursing a grudge with them for 20 fucking years. This guy cannot talk ever for more than like 3 to 5 minutes without ending up on Biden obsession or MSNBC, okay? He's just got major issues with both, right? But like, dude, he did the same shit to Fran. He does the same shit to people on his own fucking network, and it's not even like a network, it's just a failing fucking YouTube channel, right? And this guy, she's like, you're a bitch. And he's like, oh shit, she just criticized the president, me, now I have to remove her from the network, right? You know what I mean? And yes, that's a very good point you make right there. Is where was the fucking tough, like, oh, that hard hitter when MTG was in there and he was like, ha 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 ha. He was like flirting with her. Oh, your horse teeth are really looking gleaming today, MTG. Will you, like, I hear you don't like Iran, right? And I know we disagree, but oh, can I shine your horse teeth for you? Right? Dude. What a fucking clown, bro.
A week? Really? We're gonna wait a week before we criticize any president? Oh. Well, to be fair, you see them waiting a week before they criticize Trump on anything. Joke, it's a joke. It's just propaganda for corporate Democrats.
Oh, it's a joke. Yeah, no, dude. Ha ha ha. Cenky. Oh, Cenky.
Now, I stopped listening to their advice in April. Why? Well, this is the TV moment or movie moment. I got pulled in and they told me, hey, listen, we were just, or it was actually one specific person, the head of MSNBC. He said, I was just in Washington and people in Washington tell me that they're concerned about your tone. And then he gives me the second part of the speech. Hey, listen, Cenk, outsiders are cool. And they wear, I think he might have said something like, they wear leather jackets, they ride bikes. I think I'm an outsider, I don't ride a bike. But I have a terrible leather jacket. Anyway, he said, I'd love to be an outsider, outsiders are cool. But we're not, we're insiders. We are the establishment. The problem with the mainstream media is they're desperate to get access. They don't challenge the government, they don't challenge power. And now you see that that is in fact true. When they give you the speech, you're not sure that it's true. When they act upon the speech, then you're sure it's true. then I got to tell you that. If I take the money and I get a reduced role and I just, do whatever I do with it, and maybe I even rise up in the ranks again, what's the point, man? The point of this show was truth-telling. That's what we're supposed to do. And we're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media.
If I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, you are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Okay.
Dude.
Now why? Why did that happen? It's the dumbest thing I've said.
It really is the dumbest thing you said.
No, I'll tell you why. Because there's was the case that we covered where there was a guy or a girl or something that was pleasuring a horse, and the horse came to a conclusion, right? So who got harmed?
Dude, what the bro? Who would even say that? It's not even funny. You know what I'm saying? There's jokes that are funny, but this is right? This isn't even funny, dude.
People who are, okay, look, not to be a downer about what you're saying, because what you're saying sounds kind of funny, but a lot of people who are being raped can actually, have an orgasm. So, if a guy is being raped, he can have an orgasm. You can't say, if you come, that means you wanted it. That's not the right way to go.
But number one, you're being an unbelievable downer.
I am, but that's the truth.
Number two, they're not both humans. Number three, if you really ask the horse, did you mind? The answer's got to be, no. Do you see what I'm saying? No.
This is such an awkward conversation.
It is. All right, I'm going to leave it be. Okay?
See, what's crazy about it is whenever I see these clips of this or the camel toes or whatever, the N-words and shit, you realize that they were just shock seekers. You know what I mean? They were it doesn't surprise me that they're being charmed by the MAGA people, because they have that quality of because there's nothing wrong with being shocking. I say some shocking shit when I start talking about, getting rid of gender markers and shit like that, or when I start talking about sex workers or Christianity. But I'm not trying to shock. Okay, I am talking about firmly held beliefs that might appear to be shocking in the social structure we live in. But they're literally just saying shit to move the needle on, offensiveness, instead of but it's so disingenuous and wild seeing him, say that. And then, I remember him sitting on stage at AmFest with Charlie Kirk while they were punking him. And he's like, I can live with that. Oh, Charlie. Oh, be nice to me, Charlie. Right? Dude. Jesus. Dude, I feel like he got roughed up, dude, philosophically. Bro, he did. Yeah, the head of MSNBC. Dude, yeah, we are the establishment. We're insiders. Dude, first off, the funny thing about it is everybody knows, everybody knows the difference between, going on Piers Morgan and going on fucking, CNN. Okay? There's a difference. There is a difference. Okay? The type of commentary you would bring to Piers Morgan on YouTube is going to be a little bit different than the type of shit you bring to CNN, where you're part of a corporate entity that has a giant footprint that is attached to a whole bunch of other enterprises, and that CNN is just a cog in the fucking news wheel. That doesn't mean you can't rebel on both forums, but they are different types of rebellion. See, whenever I hear Cenk talk about this, you know what I realize his biggest failure is? Because he has a major one, okay? His biggest failure in that type of situation is it's he doesn't know how to adjust his own rebellion to maximize its potential in the different forums, okay? like the halls of power, like every hall has like a different set of rules, okay? And there are some rules you can break in certain halls that you can in others. And there are some ways you can overstep your bounds that you can in others. But like part of being an effective rebel and an effective, wrench in the spoke of the system is you have to know how to read the room, and you have to be able to go into different types of rooms and to rebel equally effectively in the different types of rooms, which means sometimes you have to put certain things on the side burner until you get into a position of power, right? Like even if you look at the shit with MSNBC, right? If he really wanted to be this outspoken challenger of the Democratic Party, you can't just go in there as like a guest contributor and like all of a sudden take that. But again, you remember Sam Cedar talked about how he thought he was going to go and testify before Congress to like help save Google or some shit. And Sam's like, dude, nobody's going to ask you to testify. Like he has very, like he doesn't have a realistic like view on where he is in the power structure. You know what I mean? And you have to, right? I mean, it's not like you couldn't go in there and be a person on MSNBC who is critical of the establishment, but you're not going to get there without, you have to become a thing first. But what's crazy about it is for somebody who supposedly wants to like beat the establishment so badly, the best way to do it would have been to get in there and become a part of it and to dismantle it from the inside out. You know what I mean? But like, dude, I don't know, man. This guy is like all grievance and all like, oh, I got in the room and they wouldn't let me do my thing, so I just, meh. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.